I do not say in this film that Through the Vote, quote, solved a murder. But the text of the movie goes like this. We're talking about using geo-tracking to draw a kind of circle around. When you look at we're talking about, by the way, the shooting of 8-year-old Sequoia Turner. And we're talking about the fact that this is occurring at a sort of BLM riot. And what Greg Phillips does in the movie is he looks for the cell phones in the vicinity, and then he looks at the angle of the shot, and he looks at the time of the shooting, and he says that based upon the exact time, based upon where the shot came from, based upon the angle, there's only a handful of devices that could have pulled the trigger. And he talks about this in the movie. And then I say, basically, what do you do with this information? He says, well, we turned it over to the FBI. And then I say this. Now I read, they've arrested 2 suspects. And Phillips goes, they have. That's it. That's all we say in the movie. Are there any words to the effect that we solved this murder all by ourselves? No. Do we say that the evidence turned over to the FBI was the sole and decisive fact that led to the FBI arresting the 2 suspects? No. In fact, the whole point of all this is not to play kind of private sector sleuth, a kind of, you may say, informal Columbo. The point of this is simply to show that this geo-tracking is very good at pinpointing who is where and when, and this exact same technique that can be helpful. Let's remember, when you put forward a murder case, there are many elements to it. And the geo-tracking typically is only one element.
We chose to look at 2 murders that were ebbing on cold case status.
And in Atlanta, 8-year-old Sequoia Turner was killed by rounds of gunfire shot into a car. It happened just outside this Wendy's parking lot.
Bought the data and the team got to work.
You could see visually that there were only a handful of unique devices that could possibly have pulled the trigger. So this is the area, and this is where the Wendy's was. Each of these devices has a unique device ID, and we turned the bulk of this information over to the Federal Bureau of Investigation.
Now, I read, they've arrested 2 suspects.
They have.
2 suspected gang members will appear in court this morning on charges that include the shooting death of 8-year-old Sequoia Turner.